Okay.
So I arrived here, I think it must have been the 4th of November, so a month ago, more or less. And this place was empty of any sort of shelter or any sort of service. You could only see people sleeping on the floor where they actually um, did their needs as well, and it was full of garbage. So it was like massive garbage land or something. I can't really explain. I don't have words to describe what we experienced when we arrived here. It was very chaotic. Police was very upset because there were a lot of people. They didn't have any help from translators or any sort of volunteers on the outside. So a lot of people would gather for tickets and registration procedures. And because there were too many and there weren't enough people to help, they would get into fights. They would get upset and they created riots and everything. So when I came here, I met some people that happened to be here the same day and were really affected from what we saw here. And I was then working back in Molivos, where they had a lot of volunteers helping with boat rescue. So I've decided to just go pack my things and come back. So Ralph, Kiki and I were the three people that actually met on campus after a few days and decided that we had to make whatever was possible in our power to gather organizations together, and because we didn't have any funds, we're self-funded, and bring them together so they can materialize the vision that we had in our head. So I remember I even have the drawing, I can show it to you. The first piece of paper we got and a pen, and we sort of created a little center, and we said, okay, this is the Afghan Hill, which is all this hill that we're going to go up. And these people obviously need food and dry clothes, company, help with finding firewood because they have destroyed all of the olive groves up the hill, and a lot of the locals have lost a lot of their living. Mm-hmm. They made their living out of these olive trees, and they couldn't make any money out of them this year. So we thought, okay, we have to contribute towards that as well and find a way and help these people. And then I remember we said, we need a volunteering tent because lots of people would come and they would go back to Molivos or any other place and say, we went to Moria, it's chaotic, it saddens us, but we cannot do anything because there's no one there to help us. So we thought that we had to create a volunteering coordination committee and bring volunteers together and help them with tasks. And the first thing we had to do was clean. So we started calling for volunteers from all parts of the island to come down and clean with us. And I think we managed to do a pretty good job, as you can see. It's not the cleanest of places because we have different people coming every day. I think an average number of people that come by Moria in a day is around 700 people. There were days that we had 3,000 people on these hills and days that we had 50 or 100, depending on the process or the time frame that the registration and ticketing procedures take, and as well of the boats coming from Turkey. So it's been quite quiet the past 2 days because of everything that's happening to Turkey. And then what else shall I say?
What's one story of a family or a child that sticks in your head?
First night I was here. First day I came to Moria, I decided to stay overnight with a medical technician, I think they called paramedics, that was working on the outside hill. Basically, he started working on the inside, and then when his shift finished, he would work double shifts so he can be outside and help people that were on these hills and didn't get any medical attention. And he would try and give them some sort of paracetamol or whatever they needed if it wasn't something serious, or if it was serious, to immediately give them attention on the inside. So we had no doctors here basically until Hadia came. So Nissan and I went on a night 2 shift on these hills, and we found this girl that actually fainted in Nissan's hand. So we took her inside, and she was apparently gang raped repeatedly whilst in Turkey for 2 weeks until they could actually manage to get a boat and come here. And I remember her not talking, not speaking at all to us. Like, she understood English, but she wouldn't talk to us. And I remember just her blinking her eyes and looking to us as if she really didn't want to leave or know anything about doctors or about being cared. So we were very sensitive about carrying her to the ambulance and taking her to the hospital. And then we found out that she was 2 months pregnant. So that was one of my most shocking experiences on the island, and still is. I don't think I'll ever forget the way she blinked her eyes, and she was very traumatized.
Okay. So I think you're aware that in the United States, the political discussion about the refugees is negative. If you had an opportunity to go to the U.S. and stand in front of the whole Congress, what might you ask of them?
Well, I'll ask of them to think as human beings and not as politicians or have an agenda about helping these people. We all are afraid of what terrorism brings and brought to this world. We all live in it. And it is frightening for us as well when we treat these people. Sometimes we wonder what the implications are. But I'm going to guarantee you that the vast majority of these people are people that came with their families and their kids, and they come very traumatized, and they go through hell until they come here. It's a very long journey, and I actually have another photo of a refugee that put his journey on a piece of paper for us, and the A4 piece of paper couldn't even fit the journey, so we had to put continue at the end. They go through a lot of stuff, and I don't think that these people that put their families through these dangers and their kids to go on a boat and put themselves in danger and knowing that they might die on their way here or in Turkey, because we did have a lot of people telling us that they lost their family and their loved ones in Turkey, that people shot them or stabbed them. So it's a long process journey, and they do lose loved ones on the way, and they do lose parts of themselves. When they arrive here, you can tell that the people that are actually on this hill cannot harm anyone. They're here, they kiss us, they beg for our attention or our care, they're very thankful. And I don't think that ISIS will come through here. I think the ISIS comes through people with money that fund their organizations and fund their training, and it has nothing to do with these refugees fleeing from their countries because they have nowhere else to go, and it's a dead end. They have to go come here through that boat. That's my opinion. I'm not a politician, but we are here to help human beings. But I don't want to see beyond that. We're here to treat the people, the families, the single women that come here, and especially the children who have so many children. Without family, they come here without their parents. They arrive here without their parents, either because they lost their parents in the process on the boat, or in Turkey, or in Syria, wherever they come from. And I've met 16-year-old boys, 18-year-old boys, 12-year-old boys, mostly male, that they were terrified of being here alone, terrified. It's very difficult for them. I don't think that we should be scared of the refugee situation.
How old is the youngest child that you met that was unaccompanied?
I think it was Mohammed. He was Afghan, he was in Syria. I think he was 12. He said he was 12, he looked younger, but
Okay.
But we had babies arriving here that were like 10 days old, or 20 days old, or just a couple of months old. Their mothers had them they were pregnant, so from the trauma they had them in Turkey, or they had them before they were expecting to have them, you understand what? Yeah, so we had really tiny babies on these hills, and when we weren't here, these babies, these families had to stay outside alone in the cold, and they had they didn't have any sort of care here before. Nothing. All this is something that happened in the past month.
If the American government weren't willing to help, and you'd make a direct appeal to the American people, what are the specific needs that you have to better help the refugees that are here? Monetary needs, infrastructure needs, donations?
Well, at the moment, we are trying to gather funds to create housing, winter-proof housing for these people up the hill in another piece of plot, which is quite protected from rain coming down, because this is not the right place to set accommodation actually. And by military heaters to keep them warm, because apparently, talking with the locals, we were informed that temperature in Moria can drop down to -11, so the tents won't really do much, no matter how many blankets we give out. So the idea is to find enough money at some point to materialize that idea and create long tents in which we can accommodate around 100 people, and then supply them with heaters, which of course heaters we can move when we go somewhere else to help some other people later on.
Do you have an exact dollar amount for the project?
Not yet, we're just preparing everything now. But we do need money. I mean, funds are something that we do need and we can't really get easily. We do have organizations here that contribute to what we're doing. For example, we're renting this land for 1,000 euros, so we can actually contribute back to the local community as well. And all these organizations that are based in this piece of land have offered to contribute their own amount, so we can gather the 1,000 euros per month. And then we have different organizations supplying different departments. So the infrastructure is done by Winterproof organization. Then we have the Chai Tent by another Swiss organization. Then we have Skipchen that are funding our dining area. We have, because we carry, that are funding our 2 warehouses now, and they're bringing a lot of supply. Yesterday we were out of socks, and I didn't have money for socks, so they went down. They brought jackets, shoes, socks. We have great need for backpacks, male shoes, and socks and trousers and jackets. Of course, it's winter. No matter how many we receive, we need more by the end of the day. So in terms of supplies, so that we can purchase it, or if someone can send it to us, and funds as well, we have a lot of projects going on, and we do need some help with funds.
How many different nationalities of refugees have you met here?
Wow. Syrian, Iraqi, Afghan, Iranian. Moroccan. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would want to share with people to try to get them to help?
What I'd like to say that I've worked with some American independent volunteers that came to the Afghan Hill, to Moria camp, and helped us this materialize. And I have faith in the American people. I've met some amazing people from America. They're very smart and they have great ideas, because you're obviously more ahead than Greek people, I'd say, right now, and more accustomed to offering humanitarian aid and these sort of units and whatever. So we did have some very good ideas for project from Nick, Adam, and some other people that contributed very, very, very well and wisely in this.
Okay. And what about the large NGOs? Have you gotten much support from the big international NGOs? Or is
Well,
it challenging?
yeah, it is challenging. Basically, UNHCR and Save the Children, Oxfam, they're doing their part of the job on the inside camp, which is prioritizing, of course, Syrian people, and then families and kids, traumatized people, elderly and sick people. And those groups should normally, if the procedure allow us to, end in the inside of the camp, which I will take you to see. I'm sure they're trying their best as well, but I'm just going to point out that no matter how great is the job that these organizations offer on the inside, because it's where they're supposed to base their functions, because it's a governmental land and it's supported in collaboration with the government, they still had thousands of people on the outside who had no sort of care for many months and they couldn't provide it. And now they have a team of organizations, smaller organizations, that actually do that work for them. So I'm hoping that at some point they would come to us and they would offer more help. That, for example, in this housing accommodation, winter-proof accommodation that we're trying to build, they could easily pitch in with tents or material or funding the heaters, for example. We haven't presented the idea yet, but I have faith that they're going to be willing to help us help the people they cannot support on the inside. That's diplomatic enough for you?
Very diplomatic answer. Yes. You did well. You've done this before. If you can, I should have done this at the beginning. If you can just tell me your name, where you're from, how old you are, and the name of the organization that you're here with. Okay?
Okay, my name is Elena. I was born and raised in Cyprus. I live in Madrid. I used to live in Madrid, actually. Now I've moved in Lesvos, and I will be here for as long as I'm needed. And we have just rented our place here. Do Your Part has funded our accommodation up until April. And when you ask about my organization, I will tell you that I have no organization, and I'm not planning on having one now anytime soon. The idea of this project is that we will coordinate as many organizations as willing. Whoever is willing to come on this plot or the other plot that we're renting now to contribute and work with us and fund projects, they're more than welcome. Our job here is to help them put their money into use, that is actually into projects that are actually needed, not just come and buy stuff that we already have and waste like funds and money and people. We try to coordinate everyone's effort, so everyone put a little stone and create a jewelry, for these people, a circle of protection. That's why I said before, we have 7 organizations working already on this piece of land, and we're looking for new organizations to contribute on the other piece of land, which will be focused on winter-proof housing for people, for refugees. So I'm not a part of any organization. I'm with the refugees.